Our time is 6 minutes after 7 o'clock, and I'm holding up the welcome scarf.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't see it, but it's beautiful. It's just given to us by Chaplain Brad Kenny. It says Soccer Chaplains United, and it's got the logo on it. And Brad, you were saying that when your team comes out on the field, the
supporters, they stand up,
hold up their scarf, which would, of course, here in town say Colorado Rapids.
That's right.
So you've got your own. This is cool.
We hold the scarf up this morning in honor of you two.
Thank you, guys.
So my arms are getting tired, so I won't hold it up the entire conversation. But thank you for that. That's very nice. And a couple other nice gifts here as well. Well, welcome to the table. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been too long, actually.
That's right.
A lot has changed.
You're a good friend of the station. You also endorse my book at your name and your little endorsements on my book, so I will never forget you.
Hopefully the royalties are pouring in for you.
Oh, they're just coming in like, no. I tell you what, I'm ministering to men, and that's the big thing. We're selling some books, but ministry to men, and thanks to you for your help on that as well.
We know who the real royalty is. Right?
Oh, yes, right, yeah. And you brought a friend in. We'll say hello to Rubèn Rodríguez. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Thanks for coming. We'll chat more about what you're involved in with all of this in a little bit, but cross-training, we know your organization is cross-training, but now you've kind of got an umbrella name. Talk about that.
Yeah, so it happened in 2016, actually. I was over for a conference in the UK, and I sat down with one of the other chaplains for one of the English Premier League teams, and he said, cross-training, that's wonderful. You must do like Christian CrossFit.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked down at myself, at my body, and I said,
this is not working,
this is not a CrossFit body. And God impressed on me on that trip. He said, it's time for a change.
Huh.
And so a good friend of mine that I had worked with at the church had left to do some branding and consulting, and we met together, and she said, what's your story? And we talked about St. Martin of Tours. We talked about what cross-training had hoped to be and who we really serve and minister to. And so soccer became, that's the word, that's the phrase. Our chaplaincy with the different soccer teams, that kind of nailed it. And then chaplains, that's the other part of our identity. Is as chaplains, this is how we look to serve. We look to, as St. Martin did, cover people in the midst of their need and to just clothe them, kind of as God did Adam and Eve in the garden. And so it was getting down to that third and last word. We needed to figure that out, and so united became the word. And we're united around a common code of conduct. It's what governs our chaplaincy. It's what governs our ministry. We're united by a common vision to provide care that considers the whole person. And those things have, a buddy of mine did the logo design, which you can see on our website and you can see here in studio. And we just feel really blessed. God's done amazing.
That's exciting. Soccer Chaplains United, and would that be .com, and that'll get you there?
.org.
.org. Okay. SoccerChaplainsUnited.org. If you're near your computer, you have an opportunity, check that out and see what it's all about. So, pretty exciting. And how many chaplains are involved now in this?
Yeah, when we began this process in 2017, we had 4 chaplains. We had 2 teams, and God has blown it up. Rubèn just came on as our 12th or 13th. I've kind of lost track now.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
great.
and we have a number of counselors as well. We've just grown. We've added a counselor to our network as well. That's another part of what we do. We have a number of community coordinators as well. They help with liaison between the church and ourselves to equip those churches with equipment, soccer gear, so that when those churches go on their short-term mission trips, they've got some things to enhance their ministry, to reach out and speak to the people that they're trying to reach for the gospel, and we can just kind of help them in that way. So we're seeing God do some amazing growth things in all these things, and the busy part of the work is when I'm not doing the chaplaincy with the Rapids, It's developing chaplaincy at all levels of the sport throughout North America right now, and we can talk more about that later. There's some other things that have opened up, and we're excited to see how God's working.
You've kept your mind open to God's vision, which is a big vision, and you're following Him, I can tell. That's exciting. All right, we'll come back and talk more about that. We'll reintroduce Rubèn and talk to him about what he's up to as well. 7:15 our time. You're with the breakfast table here at AM 91. If you're new to the show, maybe you were invited by Brad. I know you invited some people to be listening in. Welcome to AM 91. We hope you come back often. But enjoying this conversation with Brad and also with Rubèn, Pastor Rubèn Rodríguez. We've just got a hello from him, but I think we need to find out a little bit more about how he fits in with all this.
Yeah, so last year, one of the things the Rapids have allowed us to do from time to time is come in and help with the life skills sessions for the Developmental Academy. So these are young players, age 12 and up, that are vying potentially to become the next pro. And they could be signed to a professional contract at any moment should the club, deem that appropriate. And so they go through a rigorous schedule and training. So last year we're doing a life skills session on prejudice, and we're talking about tools and resources so that when the boys are in the midst of a game, they're not getting sucked into things. They're not using racial slurs. They're understanding how to manage things when those parts of the game start to creep in or happen, how to respond well. And I needed some help. I needed some other facilitators for the group. And so I started going through my Rolodex and saying, who do I know that can help me, that's good with young people? And Rubèn Rodríguez was the guy.
That's cool. Rubèn, exciting. What did you think when he contacted you?
I was pretty excited. It was a little bit out of the blue, and I remember it was middle of the day, and I'd only had one interaction with Brad before that, but I was super excited to get to come and do it. And because of my personality, I kind of like being thrown into situations like that where things are a little up in the air, and we get to kind of make of it what we...
What had you been doing? What are some other things that are in your background?
So I've worked in youth ministry for about 10 years, most recently at Cherry Creek Presbyterian Church. I'm planting a church now on East Colfax with a friend of mine. But I've worked in youth ministry for about 10 years, and so that had kind of formed the majority of what I've worked in before and my training and all of those things.
And Roy, Rubèn captivated these young men. We were not in the ideal situation for this life skills session, and I look over and he had just taken command of the situation and said, "Hey boys, let's get in closer, bring in your chairs," and he had their attention. And I think, too, Rubèn's bilingual skills will help because many of the academy players are Spanish-speaking, and some of their parents speak no English. And so this becomes a good point in which, as we look to serve and care for those young boys and for their families, Rubèn's going to be a great addition to the team, to myself and our bilingual chaplain that we have, Gerardo.
Now, you mentioned that every team in the MLS has such an academy.
That's right.
And are they all faith-based, or are they all Christian-based?
Well, not all of them have academy chaplains. In fact, I think Rubèn is the only academy chaplain.
Okay, so the academy is not religious-based.
No, not at all.
But they can have a chaplain who influences them.
Yes.
Got it.
And that's just been the grace of God that the Colorado Rapids have allowed us to serve that part of their organization and to serve with chaplaincy and also with counseling as well.
Are you well accepted, Rubèn, by the team, by the whole organization, as well as by these young people?
Yeah, so far everyone has been incredibly welcoming, incredibly gracious with me.
So they see the value of this kind of
absolutely
moral training.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is due to what Brad has done over the years, just laying groundwork for
that would be important.
That kind of a presence and that kind of an inspiration within the team.
And Brad, with your background with the Rapids, it strikes me that there must be a long history of them being open to the chaplaincy, the team.
Yeah, and sometimes some of the ways that looks is, we deal with things that have an impact on one's life that may not be as religious in nature. For example, this particular life skills session was about prejudice. We didn't go in and use Bible verses to say, this is where God says, don't be prejudiced or love your neighbor, but certainly more of a Christian worldview can be somewhat framed, or we can give tools, remind boys especially that are Christian in the academy. We can say, remember that your faith is important, and that as you get out, you not only represent the Rapids, but you represent God, you represent Christ.
Oh, that's awesome.
For people of other faiths, we remind them as well. Mm-hmm. This is where your faith tells you that you're to be peaceable, to be loving, to be kind, and those have just been things that I think God has wonderfully orchestrated and kept and preserved, and again kept those doors open.
People can find out more, and we're going to talk more about this. In fact, we've asked you to stay into the 8 o'clock hour a little bit too. There's so much to talk about here this morning, and it's fun. It's a Friday. It's a sports weekend.
Fun Friday.
So we're going to turn it into that. But to find out more about you, there's one place to go, or are there two on the website?
One place.
Okay.
SoccerChaplainsUnited.org. We do have an app. That app we're kind of building out and developing for players, for families, for anyone actually, though. There's some content on there, and that app is Soc Chaplains in the Google and Apple stores.
Okay.
So.
And you'd love to have people follow you and be praying.
Yes. Yeah, we need prayer, financial support.
Yeah.
We need other kinds of support and help as well, but we can talk more about that.
Hey, sports lovers, especially soccer fans, my goodness, an opportunity to be praying for a tremendous ministry and to encourage Brad and Rubèn as well.
I was, just kind of wondering, what kind of issues are you finding more that the young people are dealing with? Is there one thing that bothers them more, or that they're having more problems with? Is it parents? Is it dating? Is it drugs? Is it what are you finding more?
It's all of the above. So the challenges are similar to challenges that other high schools, especially high school students, face. Just with pressures about trying to figure out, hey, what does success look like? What does effort look like? What does excellence look like? And then added on to that is the pressure to be essentially professional or semi-professional athlete. So what we're seeing is just an intense concentration into, hey, this is a major, major part of your life. So you go to school and then you do this. And when young people make a commitment like that, they don't have the bandwidth to make other commitments anymore.
Right.
So this is truly the thing that they're going to spend the next, 20 hours a week, for the next 6-8 months on.
Yeah. Are they getting the family support that they need?
I think they get it from their own families, and I also think they get it from the organization. One of the things that the Development Academy in specific has been trying to really do is encourage a closer knit group amongst teams, with coaches, with training staff, with all those things. And so I think the desire is that athletes would come into the program and feel cared for and welcomed and also taken care of in a way that they might if they had, outside friend groups or other things like that.
And Denise, some of the challenge with that, though, is because of the way the academy system's set up, sometimes the Rapids will bring in a player from one of their affiliates in Albuquerque, in New Mexico area, or South Dakota, or even the Carolinas. And so sometimes families will send their son to Denver, live with a host family, and he goes to school and he plays. He goes to school and he plays. He goes to school and he plays, and he's not around his original nuclear family. And so sometimes one of the ways we as chaplains are supporting is by being an additional support, because mom and dad are living in another state, they're working. so that they can make sure that their son can try and live out this dream.
Do you become a liaison between that student, that player, and their family back at home too, in some ways?
Sometimes a chaplain does, and sometimes a chaplain can build a good rapport. Our bilingual chaplain Gerardo, who works with me at the first team, is helping with one of the academy boys and his family, and they live out of state. They're Spanish speaking, and he's just has some opportunity to again speak into life and walk alongside of. And so now you have three godly men, three chaplains that are hopefully serving and speaking into not just these young boys' lives, but into these families' lives. Wow. There's some really powerful things happening.
I had no idea the focus and commitment that goes into this.
It's tremendous.
Pastors and Chaplain Brad and Rubèn will join us a little bit in the 8 o'clock hour as well. We want to set up something, though, the 2020 vision. Tell us what that is, and then we'll give details in the 8 o'clock.
Yeah, really, the 2020 vision is our vision to grow the number of chaplains that we have serving in the sport of soccer across all levels in the U.S. and I'm now saying and beyond. There's something that's come up in the last little bit. We've had some folks reach to us overseas, and we're thinking, wow, God, what's going on here? We're wondering if it's maybe our Macedonian man call.
Yeah, wow.
And so we're looking into some of those things, and we can talk about those in the next hour.
And soccer is everywhere in the world.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
my goodness.
It's the global game. So as we go out, as we move out, we're just seeing so many connections. And I don't know if I have time to share a quick little story, but one of our former chaplains was back in his home country. And one of the players that had been in Major League Soccer is there now as a general manager of one of the teams. And they met, they started talking, and he said, well, I used to be the chaplain with the Rapids, and I served with Brad, and they started talking, and he said, we might like a chaplain here.
Uh-huh.
Wow. So when we picked the name Soccer Chaplains United, I kind of knew, I don't know, should it be football? Should it be football Chaplains United?
Yeah.
You know, what should it be? But God always has a bigger idea and bigger vision than we do originally, and so we're expecting to explore that with him and understand what that is as part of our 2020 vision.
All right. We'll talk more about that and where this is all going and a couple of other things, too, in the early part of the 8 o'clock. Everything we do for the glory of God, as the Scripture says, and that's what we want, too. And so many ways to do that in every aspect of life, including sports. And we've always admired sports chaplains because you have such a tremendous opportunity. Not an easy one, but a great opportunity. And a couple of them are sitting here with us. If you've just joined us, Reverend Brad Kenny, founder and executive director of Soccer Chaplains United, right here in our area is the base for that, but it's reaching out, and we're going to talk about that. And then Pastor Rubèn Rodríguez, who is the chaplain for Colorado Rapids Developmental Academy, which involves young people and getting them into the sport. And he's also the pastor of a brand new church that's starting out, the Sacred Grace Church on East Colfax. So welcome again, guys. Great to have you at the table.
Thanks for having us.
2020 vision, we introduced that in the last hour, and this really, soccer, football is all over the world and growing, I guess, and now maybe God is saying to you guys, you've got some signs that you're going to be part of that in terms of chaplaincy.
Right, Roy, it's really interesting. At the second division of soccer in pro soccer in the U.S., there are, I think right now, last I counted, 15 to 20 teams that do not have a chaplain. And then you go into the third tier of professional soccer, and there's more teams. And then you get into what's called the PDL, or the Player Development League. These are essentially teams that kind of form up for a couple months, made up of college players. Again, guys trying to get into the pros, guys trying to play out the game. There's over 40 teams that don't have a chaplain in that level of soccer. And then you get into the collegiate side, you get into the DA, the youth club soccer system, and what we're seeing more and more is parents are on the sidelines, families are on the sidelines on Sunday mornings, on Saturdays, and they're not in church. They're not in places of healthy worship and community. And so it helps to have a pastoral presence, to have a chaplain who can represent God and be a connection to help connect that family back into faith, to connect them back into church. And so we feel that God's put on us a vision to grow the number of chaplains that we have across all those levels of the sport of soccer here in the U.S. and maybe even beyond. Right now we're in talks with a local Christian college to bring a chaplain on with their soccer team. We're talking with a youth club in Kansas. There's one of our board members is a board member at Dordt College in Iowa, and so you see a lot of these collegiate teams that don't have a chaplain presence, and this becomes a space where we want to serve and speak into and grow and develop. And so there's a lot of opportunity, and we're looking to double our numbers by 2020.
Wow. Maybe you can answer this one, Rubèn. Why would a school like that, why would a college, why would they want a chaplain?
Absolutely. So I think one of the things that is not only true in life but also in sport is the better the character of the player, the better player they are. And I think the desire of teams, whether they be collegiate or professional or amateur, is to have the best players available. And one of the things that we know is that when players are taken care of, when they are not just taking care of their physical bodies, but they're taking care of their character, they're taking care of their emotional needs, they're taking care of all those things, they perform better on a team. So from a team's perspective, from a managerial perspective, it pays off to have somebody who's there, who is not the coach, is not in management, who can help walk a player through difficult times or emotional turmoil, or just be as somebody who's an extra support and an encouragement to a player to say, hey, you've got this, or we're behind you, or I'm rooting for you. And the dividend of that is seen on the field on game day.
Yeah, I tell a lot of coaches, I say, look, coach, as a chaplain, I don't make playing decisions. I don't make contractual decisions. And we can put arms around that person, whomever they be. Even when they leave the club, we can still put an arm around them and encourage them and support them and point them back to life, point them back to Christ. And that's the beauty of our role. That's the sometimes challenge of our role as well.
The way that you can reach both of these guys is soccerchaplainsunited.org, their website, soccerchaplainsunited.org, or the app, SOC Chaplains. Either way you can get through to them. Do you speak at churches or anywhere?
Yeah, sometimes we get requests to come in and speak to a youth group or to speak to a church. We utilize too. We're always looking for church partners to financially support the work that we're doing, and then we want to turn around and use the soccer gear and equipment that comes through our hands to help that church go and do ministry as well. And we're also developing those church partnerships, because sometimes when there's a need with the lower division teams and the clubs, those families and players sometimes don't have the resources, and the church can become this wonderful, as a body of Christ, they become the hands and feet that can serve. And so sometimes we'll have a player who goes through an injury, and we can call on the church, hey, can we get a meal train? Hey, can we get some furniture to help furnish this apartment for, some of these guys are playing on contracts of $500 a month for 8 months. It's a really low wage, and maybe the team's given them an apartment or something. But now we can come to the church and say, help us just love on these people.
Wow, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Excellent.
15 now after 8. I'm wondering, because it seems to me there are a lot of opportunities for the community to get involved, parents to get involved, or just maybe even a retired person who's looking to get involved with youngsters, but not necessarily, being a chaplain, because we're talking about an awful lot of soccer players.
Yeah, Denise, that's been one of the things as we've formed Soccer Chaplains United. We kind of say we have these three branches: chaplaincy, counseling, and what we call community or community coordinators. And so many times the conversations that are starting to emerge is people will come and say, I want to help. I've been the soccer mom. I've been the soccer dad. I've seen the need. I see the need on the sidelines. And so we have been working with and creating ways in which we can help provide that care, because a chaplain in and of themselves cannot provide that care alone. Sometimes a chaplain can provide the care, the pastoral support, but there's so many other ways that this gets played out. And so even one of my conversations later today will be with someone about coming on board and how can I help and how can I support. And we have this, our community coordinator position is helping get meals for people that, maybe they go through an injury or a crisis, and they're disconnected from the church. They're disconnected from healthy community life. And sometimes the only community that they have is their soccer team, the local youth club. And so that's one of the things that we're working to develop more and more, and to see how God works through that as a chaplain kind of mobilizes and deploys people out to provide care and provide support. Even at the DA level, we've got a few host families that are Christian, and they're the ones saying, let us open our homes.
Wonderful.
They're saying,
I love that.
We want to create a good, safe environment. And so when those players come from out of state or maybe even out of country, those families are the ones, because they already have the ideas of hospitality and generosity. Those things have been fostered through their own Christian faith. Those become things where the chaplain realizes, okay, I can't do this myself. I need others to help. And that's why we want to encourage people to reach out to us, because I even tell, I've got some great grandmas that support Soccer Chaplains United, and they send me the prayer support. They send financial support, because they know their grandkids are playing this game. Their grandkids are facing this pressure, and they're underneath this intensity. And so those grandmas become a great sense of support for Soccer Chaplains United, because they become the prayer warriors, and they become the enablers. They become the activators, so that we can spend time and care for and look after their families. And
I just love this. And as the sport just gains popularity here in the United States and other places as well, but especially here in the United States, there's more opportunity for people to get involved and come alongside the chaplains.
Yeah, that is true. And churches can get involved, as you said, and individuals can get involved as well in a lot of different ways. So, hey, pick up on this. Can anyone give you a call, or would you prefer email? Or
shoot me an email. My email is very simple. It's brad@soccerchaplainsunited.org. You can contact us through our website as well. soccerchaplainsunited.org. There's some contact forms on there that you can fill out. We have an app as well. Again, some of these things are still developing, still growing. The idea, though, is so many of these young people are traveling to play games. Can we create some resources to connect them back to God and back to their faith, and working with Rubèn as well to kind of understand how can we reach better young people today. They're very much into electronics. They're very much connected socially and digitally. How do we serve and minister to a digital age? Those become just part of our growth, our growth points.
Get involved if you can, or if you know somebody, get him in touch with Brad Kenny, Reverend Brad Kenny. So a great opportunity. And Rubèn, thank you for coming in as well. Rubèn Rodríguez, any final thought from you?
Yeah, just piggybacking off of what Brad said, just if you're out there and you feel moved, there's a way for you to be involved, whether that's giving or prayer or just coming alongside and encouraging, or even doing something in your own neighborhood, there is a way for you to get involved, and it's incredibly important.
Well, you guys are very busy at this, serving the Lord, and I want to thank you for that, but the call goes out, help! We could use some help. So thanks so much for coming in, both of you.